Hello, dear friends. I'm Alder Santos, and welcome to our channel, Baseball Legends. Few names in baseball history spark as much curiosity as Bobby Bonilla's. Even decades after the peak of his career, his name remains a topic of conversation among fans and analysts, not only because of what he did on the field, but also because of a legendary contract that keeps him in the spotlight year after year. Bonilla was much more than the player who gets millions without playing. He was an offensive star in the 1990s, a frequent all-star, a World Series champion, and a player who suited up for several major MLB franchises. His career is a vivid portrait of a transitional era in baseball. With Puerto Rican roots, Bonilla represented Latin pride on the field, challenging pitchers with his powerful swing and making his mark as one of the National League's top hitters. Alongside names like Barry Bonds with the Pirates, he formed explosive duos and helped his teams fight for championships. His multimillion-dollar contract with the New York Mets marked a turning point in sports economics, while also initiating a turbulent relationship with the New York press and fan base. Watch this video until the end and tell me, do you think Bobby Bonilla was a genius both on and off the field, or did he just get lucky with the most famous contract in baseball history? Leave your opinion in the comments. I want to know if you see him as an icon, controversial figure, or both. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of Bonilla's story began after his retirement. The famous agreement that guarantees him over $1 million every year until 2035 became a cultural phenomenon, the now famous Bobby Bonilla Day. A bold financial move by the Mets turned Bonilla into an almost mythical figure, a symbol of contract strategy and the unpredictability of sports. In this video, we'll dive into the full story of this unforgettable character, filled with brilliance, controversy, and, of course, a good dose of money. Bobby Bonilla arrived at the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1986 and quickly established himself as a key piece in the team's rebuilding process. After a short stint with the Chicago White Sox, it was in Pittsburgh that he found the ideal environment to develop his offensive talent. Playing third base and switch hitting, Bonilla impressed, with his combination of power and contact, becoming a constant threat in the middle of the batting order. His impact was immediate. With a steady batting average, power hitting, and speed on the bases, he began to be seen as one of the National League's rising stars. As the 1980s came to a close, his role as a team leader was clear, and the Pirates began to re-emerge as a competitive force. The Pirates' rise in the late 1980s coincided with the emergence of one of the most feared duos in baseball at the time, Bobby Bonilla and Barry Bonds. Together, they formed the heart of the teams. Offense, blending youth, aggression, and raw talent. Bonilla's confident attitude and energetic style perfectly complemented Bonds' cool demeanor and athletic power. On the field, they dictated the pace of games, forcing opposing pitchers into tough decisions and creating opportunities for the rest of the team. That offensive chemistry was key to the Pirates' evolution, making them real contenders for the National League East title, something the team hadn't achieved since the days of Willie Stargell in the 1970s. From 1990 to 1992, the Pittsburgh Pirates won 3 straight National League East titles, and Bobby Bonilla played a pivotal role during that golden stretch. His offensive numbers told the story. He consistently hit above .280, racked up home runs, and drove in runs with regularity. Moreover, his leadership in the clubhouse helped keep the team focused and confident. Although the Pirates never advanced to the World Series during those seasons, painfully losing in the NLCS each time, the foundation laid by Bonilla, Bonds, and other young stars restored pride in the city. Games at Three Rivers Stadium were packed again, and the team reignited the community's passion for baseball with an aggressive, exciting playing style. Bonilla's time with the Pirates also served as a showcase for his market value. In 1991, upon becoming a free agent, he left the team to sign a record-breaking contract with the New York Mets, a decision that sparked controversy among Pittsburgh fans but reflected his growing reputation across the league. Despite his early exit, Bonilla left a deep mark on the franchise. His stay may have been short, but it was intensely productive, cementing his reputation as one of the best players at the turn of the decade from the 1980s to the 1990s. Even today, he's fondly remembered by Pirates fans as a symbol of the team's sports revival and a beacon of hope that defined a generation of local baseball lovers. Bobby Bonilla was more than just a prominent name of his time for several seasons. He was considered one of the most impactful players in the National League, especially during the peak of his career in the late 1980s and early 1990s. His first All-Star selection came in 1988, when his offensive performance with the Pirates earned him national recognition. With a powerful swing and a knack for driving in runs, Bonilla solidified himself as a top-tier presence in the lineup, living up to the prestige an All-Star selection implies. His ability to hit from both sides of the plate also added to his value, making him a strategic asset and showcasing uncommon versatility that in the following years, Bonilla continued to shine, earning All-Star selections in 1989, 1990, and 1991, always representing the Pirates. That streak of appearances confirmed his standing among the best players of his generation. He wasn't just a consistent hitter, he was a clutch performer, capable of taking over games and thriving under pressure. During those seasons, Bonilla consistently ranked among the league leaders in extra base hits, RBIs, and slugging percentage, a testament to the respect opposing pitchers had for him. His presence on the field demanded attention, and in the All-Star games, he proved he belonged. With his move to the New York Mets in 1992, Bonilla brought his star power to MLB's biggest media market. Though his first season in New York was met with heavy pressure and sky-high expectations, he quickly bounced back and returned to the All-Star game in 1993. Even in the face of criticism, Bonilla showed resilience, maintaining solid offensive numbers and helping keep the Mets competitive during a rocky stretch for the franchise. His 1993 All-Star nod was proof of his worth. He wasn't just a product of the Pirates' success, but a true talent who could shine anywhere, under any spotlight. In 1995, after a stint with the Orioles and the players' strike that disrupted the 1994 season, Bonilla shined once again, earning his sixth and final All-Star game appearance, this time as a member of Baltimore. His ability to adapt to different rosters, leagues, and contexts reinforced one of the most admirable traits of his career: consistency over time. Even with team changes and the game's evolution throughout the decade, Bonilla remained productive, widely seen as a reliable presence among hitters. He was the kind of player who maintained a high standard even as others around him struggled with injuries, slumps, or market pressures. That Bonilla's All-Star appearances were not just resume bullet points, they were ongoing recognition of his excellence. In a landscape filled with big names like Barry Bonds, Tony Gwynn, Andre Dawson, and other icons of the era, being selected among the best 6 times is a significant accomplishment. He made the most of each opportunity at these showcase events to reinforce his image as a dependable and efficient star. Moreover, his presence at these games boosted the morale of the teams he represented, showing they had a high-caliber, respected player across the league. Altogether, Bobby Bonilla's 6 All-Star selections stand as testimony to a career that, despite later controversies and the now famous deferred payment clause with the Mets, should be remembered for its positive impact on the field. He was one of baseball's most recognizable faces during the transition from the 1980s into the 1990s, and his offensive consistency, combined with his on-field energy, made him a true representative of MLB's elite for nearly a decade. All-Star. Voting, by both fans and coaches, is based on merit and performance, and Bonilla repeatedly earned his spot among the best, leaving behind a legacy worthy of applause. In 1991, Bobby Bonilla rocked the baseball world by signing a $29 million, five-year deal with the New York Mets, making him the highest-paid player in Major League Baseball at the time. The agreement was groundbreaking not just for the dollar figure, but for what it symbolized: a new era where player salaries began reflecting the commercial and media power of the sport. Bonilla, coming off a spectacular run with the Pirates, brought with him the prestige of multiple All-Star appearances and elite offensive numbers. The Mets' investment was a bold statement, a hope that Bonilla could lead the franchise back to prominence after years of inconsistency. That Bonilla's arrival in New York, however, came with immense pressure. Mets fans and the local media had sky-high expectations, hoping his performance would justify every penny of the record-breaking contract. On the field, Bonilla posted solid numbers, but struggled with the constant criticism and intense scrutiny that accompanied his fame and salary. Though his production remained strong, with respectable averages, power at the plate, and veteran leadership in the clubhouse, he became a target of fan frustration, as many expected near-superhuman performance. This ongoing tension with the public and the press ultimately tarnished part of his image during this phase of his career. That Bonilla's contract with the Mets also became famous for a peculiar detail: the deferred payment agreement signed during his second stint with the team. Years later, instead of receiving the roughly $5.9 million remaining on his contract up front, Bonilla agreed to a plan that would pay him nearly $1.2 million annually for 25 years, starting in 2011. This deal, though financially strategic for the Mets in the short term, ended up becoming a symbol of financial mismanagement by the franchise and brought Bonilla's name back into the spotlight every year on what's now known as Bobby Bonilla Day. Celebrated with a mix of irony and admiration by fans and media alike. Despite the criticism and circumstances surrounding his contract, there's no denying that Bonilla played a key role in transforming the MLB player market. He paved the way for athletes to negotiate with more confidence and ambition, asserting the true value of their talent in a league generating billions. The impact of his Mets contract goes far beyond his on-field stats. It marked a turning point in baseball's rise as big business and the growing appreciation of athletes as strategic assets. Bonilla, with his boldness, talent, and business savvy, helped shape the modern sports landscape, remembered as much for his bat as for the paradigm shift he helped initiate. Bobby Bonilla's MLB career was defined not only by high salaries and major moments, but also by his ability to adapt to different environments and contribute offensively wherever he went. After his initial success with the Pittsburgh Pirates, where he emerged as a star alongside Barry Bonds, Bonilla brought his talents to several other franchises over the course of more than 15 seasons. He demonstrated impressive longevity as a reliable hitter, able to provide power and presence in the heart of the lineup regardless of the team or league he was playing in. Among his most notable stops was his time with the Baltimore Orioles, where he played from 1995 to 1996, posting solid offensive numbers and helping add depth to the team's lineup. In 1997, with the Florida Marlins, Bonilla was part of a talented roster that captured the World Series, one of the biggest highlights of his career. His veteran presence played a crucial role amid a blend of youth and experience that fueled Florida's championship run. Even with smaller market teams like the St. Louis Cardinals and Atlanta Braves, Bonilla maintained league-wide respect as a hitter with both contact and occasional power. Later in his career, Bonilla also played for the Chicago White Sox and returned to the Mets for a second stint, which was marked by the now legendary contract renegotiation. Despite the natural physical decline with age, he was still seen as a valuable clubhouse piece, especially for his experience in high-pressure situations. His versatility to play both in the outfield and at third base allowed him to extend his playing days, while his reputation as one of the most recognizable figures of the 1990s remained intact. By the end of his journey, Bonilla had made his mark across multiple organizations, always contributing consistently and maintaining respect for his enduring performance. In 1997, Bobby Bonilla reached one of the peaks of his career by winning the World Series with the Florida Marlins. The franchise, still relatively young at the time, surprised the baseball world by assembling a talented and competitive roster that blended youth with experienced veterans like Bonilla. His presence on the team was more than symbolic. Bonilla brought playoff experience, game awareness, and a respected voice in the clubhouse. Even though he was no longer at the peak of his offensive production, his contribution was essential in keeping the team balanced and confident during the decisive moments of the postseason. During that historic run, Bonilla played an important role as a designated hitter and middle-of-the-lineup player, participating in crucial games and providing quality at the plate and reliability in the field. He finished the postseason with key hits and a demeanor that helped keep the team focused amid rising pressure. Behind the scenes, he was seen as one of the leaders supporting the young talents on the roster, including Edgar Renteria, Livan Hernandez, and Charles Johnson. This union of generations was vital for the Marlins to overcome more experienced opponents, culminating in a dramatic 7-game victory over the Cleveland Indians. The 1997 World Series victory was especially meaningful for Bonilla, as it validated a long career marked by talent and sometimes unfair criticism. By lifting the championship trophy, he joined the select group of players who were not only individual stars, but also left their mark in team achievements. For the Marlins, Bonilla was more than just a veteran player. He was a catalyst for stability and a winning mindset. That title remains one of the most emblematic moments in both the franchise's history and Bobby Bonilla's professional journey. During his time with the New York Mets, Bobby Bonilla experienced not only challenges on the field, but also a series of controversies off it, especially involving the media and fans. His high-value contract, the most lucrative in MLB history at the time, generated nearly unattainable expectations, and any dip in his performance was magnified by fierce criticism from the New York media. Bonilla, a confident and straightforward player, did not hesitate to respond in kind, creating a constant cycle of conflicts and negative headlines. His strong personality, which made him a leader on previous teams, became viewed with suspicion in a market as demanding as New York's. His relationship with the fans also quickly deteriorated. Part of the fan base saw him as a symbol of a team that promised a lot but delivered little. In moments of frustration, Bonilla pushed back against criticism during interviews and sometimes got into verbal confrontations with reporters and even fans near the field. One of the most remembered episodes happened in 1993 when he had a heated argument with a reporter in the locker room, reinforcing his image as a temperamental and somewhat inaccessible player. These constant clashes overshadowed his talent and offensive contributions, making him a frequent target of New York's pressure. Despite all these controversies, it's important to note that Bonilla always took pride in his work and never stopped showing effort on the field. His frankness, though unpopular with some, also reflected a rare authenticity in professional sports. He was not a player who hid away, even when facing adversity and extreme demands. Over the years, many began to see these controversies in a new light, as the result of exaggerated expectations and a difficult context rather than character flaws. Ultimately, these tensions are part of the complexity of Bonilla's career and help explain why he remains such a debated figure among fans and the media. One of the most emblematic stories in baseball's financial history and professional sports in general. is Bobby Bonilla's legendary deferred contract with the New York Mets. In 2000, the Mets decided to release Bonilla before the end of his remaining contract worth $5.9 million. Instead of paying that amount immediately, the franchise opted for an unusual financial agreement. Bonilla would receive $1.19 million per year for 25 years starting in 2011, totaling about $29.8 million by the end of the deal. This decision was based on optimistic investment return projections by owner Fred Wilpon, who was involved in Bernie Madoff's business, a scheme that would collapse years later. Because of this, Bobby Bonilla Day, celebrated every July 1st, became a cultural symbol within MLB. Although Bonilla hasn't played since 2001, he continues to receive a $1 million salary annually, attracting media, fan, and financial expert attention each year. The case has become a reference point in discussions about deferred contracts, sports finances, and payroll management. For many, it's an ironic reminder of risky decisions made by sports executives, while for Bonilla, it represents one of the most successful negotiations of his life, securing decades of guaranteed income. This situation helped turn Bobby Bonilla into an icon beyond the stats and performances on the field. His name remains relevant year after year thanks to this unique contract, which has become a meme, a topic on sports shows, and even an inspiration for other athletes to negotiate similar deals. Beyond representing a personal victory, Bobby Bonilla Day serves as a lesson in how financial intelligence and timing can immortalize an athlete even long after their last hit. Instead of being remembered only for his highs and lows on the field, Bonilla became a name forever associated with the art of making a good deal, something that transcends baseball. Throughout his solid Major League Baseball career, Bobby Bonilla compiled impressive numbers that place him among the most productive hitters of his generation, accumulating more than 2,000 hits. 2010 to be exact. Bonilla demonstrated remarkable consistency over 16 seasons. He was one of the players who best combined contact and power in an era before the dominance of modern statistical analysis. Valued for his physical presence at the plate, his ability to deliver hits in important moments, and his offensive regularity. Regardless of the franchise he represented, with 287 career home runs, Bonilla established himself as a constant threat in the lineup, capable of changing the course of a game with a single swing. Moreover, his 1,173 runs batted in, RBIs, reflect not only his power but also his efficiency in high-pressure situations, driving in teammates at crucial times. At his peak, especially between the late 1980s and early 1990s, he ranked among the National League's offensive leaders, was a regular All-Star, and received MVP votes. His performance was further enhanced by his versatility on the field, alternating smoothly between third base and the outfield. Although he did not accumulate numbers that guarantee an automatic Hall of Fame induction, Bonilla's career totals show that he was much more than just a folklore figure because of his deferred contract. He was an offensive pillar for multiple teams and delivered consistent production for over a decade at a high level. In an era when evaluation criteria focused more on the visual impact of the game, Bonilla stood out as a complete, powerful, and decisive player, a true representative of the offensive strength of the 1990s. Bobby Bonilla, born in the Bronx, New York, is the son of Puerto Rican immigrants and has always carried with him the pride of his Latin roots. From the earliest steps of his professional baseball career, his Puerto Rican identity was a central part of who he was both on and off the field. At a time when Latino representation was still striving for more visibility and respect in Major League Baseball, Bonilla emerged as a standout figure, not only for his talent, but also for his proud and confident attitude. He spoke proudly about his heritage and saw himself as a symbol of perseverance for many young Latinos dreaming of success amid social and economic challenges. His rise coincided with a period of growth in the Latino presence in American baseball, and Bonilla became a role model for many Puerto Rican players and other Hispanic nationalities. His success went beyond the statistics. He inspired young athletes by showing that it was possible to compete at the highest level, earn millionaire contracts, and be a key player on major franchises, all without erasing his origins. In interviews and public appearances, Bonilla frequently made a point of highlighting his cultural heritage, creating a bridge between his professional journey and his family history. This attitude helped strengthen the sense of pride in the Latino community connected to the sport. Additionally, Bonilla served as an example during a time of change for Latino players in MLB. His strong personality, combined with his talent on the field, challenged stereotypes and showed that Hispanic players could be both leaders and marketing symbols. Although he had controversial moments with the press, he never stopped asserting his beliefs and his right to occupy prominent spaces. His legacy goes beyond numbers. He helped pave the way for the generation of Latino stars who now dominate MLB, proving that cultural identity is not an obstacle but a banner to be raised with pride. Bobby Bonilla's legacy is one of the most curious and enduring in modern baseball history. Although his career had highs and lows, with moments of brilliance and others of criticism, he managed to leave a mark that goes beyond statistics and on-field performances. Bonilla emerged during a transformative era in Major League Baseball, a phase when contracts began to inflate and baseball had yet to fully embrace the advanced analytics that dominate the sport today. As one of the first big stars to sign a millionaire contract, he became a symbolic milestone of athletes' negotiating power and the new financial dynamics taking over the league in the 1990s. However, what truly immortalized Bonilla in popular memory was the famous deferred payment agreement with the New York Mets, which gave rise to the so-called Bobby Bonilla Day. Every July 1st, he receives just over $1.19 million, an amount that will continue to be paid until 2035. Although initially the contract was the subject of jokes and criticism, it has become an almost folkloric curiosity within the sport. Many fans, even the younger ones who never saw him play, know his name because of this financial arrangement, which became a symbol of a clever and questionable for the Mets negotiation and the intelligence of securing long-term stability even after retirement. Today, Bobby Bonilla is remembered with a mix of nostalgia and admiration. His legacy represents the transition between two baseball eras, the pre-analytics period, centered on charismatic stars and raw numbers, and the modern phase, where efficiency and metrics dictate the game. He remains a likable figure for many fans, not just for his on-field achievements, but for the cultural phenomenon his name became. In a sport full of statistics and history, Bonilla carved out a unique space, being celebrated annually by a generation that sees him both as a symbol of the past and a fun reminder of how baseball and business intertwine unexpectedly. Bobby Bonilla is one of those names that transcend cold statistical numbers and come alive in the popular culture of baseball. His career, full of shining moments, controversies, and bold financial decisions, offers a fascinating portrait of a player who knew how to leave his mark in many ways. He wasn't just another powerful hitter. Bonilla was an emblematic figure of a transitional era in Major League Baseball, when millionaire contracts began to shape new paradigms in the sport. During his golden years, especially with the Pittsburgh Pirates, Bonilla demonstrated his value with key hits, clubhouse leadership, and consistent performances. Alongside Barry Bonds, he helped turn the Pirates into a National League powerhouse, winning 3 consecutive division titles. He was the kind of player who commanded respect not only for his talent, but also for his confident demeanor and refusal to back down from criticism or pressure. This strong personality was also, at times, fuel for clashes with the press and fans, something that ended up shaping part of his public reputation. Signing with the Mets in 1991 marked a new chapter in his journey. Bonilla became the highest-paid player in MLB at the time, which brought enormous expectations and an even greater spotlight on every move he made. Although he had good stretches with the team, his relationship with New York fans and the local media was not always smooth. His intense personality and frustration with results below expectations fueled a love-hate relationship with the fan base that lasts to this day. Still, his story gained legendary contours when his deferred contract with the Mets took effect. The famous Bobby Bonilla Day, celebrated every July 1st, became a sports culture phenomenon, reminding the world that financial intelligence can also be a legacy. Many fans know him more for this contract than for his on-field achievements. A curious reflection of how sport and media intertwine in popular imagination. And if you enjoyed this video, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell so every time new content is uploaded you get notified, and don't forget to comment and share with friends. Beyond the numbers, more than 2,000 hits, nearly 300 home runs, and 6 All-Star Game appearances. Bonilla also carried with him the pride of his Puerto Rican roots. He opened doors for other Latino players to see MLB as a stage for prominence, and his story resonates with many young people dreaming of using baseball as a path to advancement and recognition. His representativeness was, and still is, an essential part of his legacy. In the end, Bobby Bonilla represents the complexity of the modern athlete: talented, imperfect, bold, and unforgettable. His name lives on in the memory of fans not only for plays or titles, but also for decisions off the field that challenged conventions. Perhaps that is Bonilla's true legacy: the ability to remain relevant year after year as a unique character in the narrative of American baseball. Until the next journey, dear baseball-loving friends.